Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara May, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Lara May, and today I have with me, let me get to my spot, Wayne Altman. Wayne, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today because binaural beats, I actually use them in my own meditations that I make for my clients and for my content. So let me read your bio real quick and we'll get started. With a strong desire to make a difference to the people around him, Wayne Altman has worn many hats during his 54 years of life on this planet, beautiful Earth. Born in California but raised in Texas, Wayne grew up knowing he wanted to serve others. U.S. Army veteran, death row correctional officer, corporate sales trainer, and author of 6 books on mortgage and credit, Wayne has traveled to 19 countries and visited 49 states teaching credit to consumers and loan officers in the mortgage industry. He currently owns multiple online businesses, all designed to enrich the lives of his customers and his community. His latest business is Melody Clouds, a subscription relaxation website and app. With 8,000 hours of solfeggio, I think I'm saying it right, solfeggio?
Yep.
Binaural beats, guided meditation, and 17,000 plus audiobooks, all designed to relax and educate its subscribers at a price point other services just will not touch. Wayne has determined that the healing and beneficial effects of his technology should be available to everyone who wants it. So Melody Clouds is translated into over 100 different languages, and its membership spans across the globe. So thank you for being here again. I'm really excited. What you're doing, I think, is really exciting also and so impactful. So tell us how you obviously have worn a lot of hats over your life. Tell us how you came to be interested in this specific piece of your journey.
Well, thank you for having me. Number one, that guy sounds like a moron. So, I mean, I'll try to clean it up a little bit. Okay. So how I figured this out, or how I found out, I suffer from tinnitus. Some people call it tinnitus, ringing in the ear. Badly. It, the military experience was a long lasting one for me. I was with the 8th Engineer Battalion. We blew up a lot of stuff, and I did a lot of damage to my hearing. And so I have gone through the last 30, 35 years of my life with this right now ringing in my ear. I mean, and it is loud. And a friend of mine last year, said, "Hey, I've got something I want you to try. I want you to listen to this." So he played me a track of music. And it was, I'm the least woo-woo guy on the planet. Okay. I am not, I'm not that guy. And this was that. It was very woo-woo music. And okay, what am I listening to? He said, okay, well, that didn't work. Play another track. So he plays another track, just as woo-woo, did absolutely nothing. But the third track he played for me hit me like a punch to the face. I heard silence. It was complete relief from that tinnitus. And I heard, of course, the music was still woo-woo, not my real cup of tea. However, what I did enjoy was the fact that I was not listening to this rushing, whining sound in my head. I've used it every single day since. I have found way more uses for it, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, I would love to. So first of all, let's get down to the baseline, the foundation. So what are binaural beats for those out there that don't know yet?
Right. That's what's really cool, because Binaural beats are two frequencies. Our brains operate, they're electrical appliances. Your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions are electrical impulses. You can measure them with an EEG, and we know now how to kind of game the system a little bit. They've been doing work on this. You mentioned solfeggio. Okay, solfeggio is a tiny bit different. It's been since the 11th century. Guido di Arezzo was a monk in the 11th century, and he noticed that even if you didn't have any musical ability, you could tell when something was out of tune. And that's anybody. That goes for anybody. You know when the person next to you is singing out of tune. You don't have to be an American Idol contestant to realize that. That was kind of the beginning of binaural beats, though. He didn't realize it. It didn't go that deep. Now we know that these electrical impulses are on frequencies, and a binaural beat is one frequency in one ear, one frequency in another ear, slightly different, and your brain, rather than being able to comprehend both frequencies, makes the third frequency in the middle. And that has an impact on your mood. It has an impact on your focus. It has an impact on pain reduction. You can block grief. There are tons of applications for that bit of knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. So, so I guess my next question is it frequency specific though? So like if I wanted to, like you said, block grief, is that a very specific frequency versus if I want to like maybe have some pain relief?
You are asking, this is an excellent question. Okay. Here's the thing. This is how I knew that this was a real thing and it wasn't some kind of like trickery or fakery. Okay. The answer to your question is yes. There are frequencies we have identified that will do certain things. However, just like with any medication that your doctor would prescribe, it's different for everyone. It's not the same. Let me put it that it's not different for everyone. It's not the same for everyone. There's a difference. So in other words, if you go to the doctor and you are complaining about some ailment, the doctor will prescribe a medication for you, and then you come back in a couple weeks. He wants to make sure that everything is working correctly. If it's not, what does he do? He re-prescribes a different medication, or he adjusts the medication for you. It's exactly the same way with binaural beats. So for example, for me, 432 hertz, that will knock me out like I've been tranquilized. 15 seconds of the track on Melody Clouds, the app, of a specific 432 song, I've never heard the 16th second. That's how quickly it is like done.
Wow, that's amazing. Watch out, Ambien.
well, and here's the thing that, look, I'm not here to bash any kind of like medications.
No.
But I will say, I have a very good friend of mine who walked down his street, was picked up by the police because he was walking down the street not wearing any clothes on Ambien.
Oh, yeah. As a pharmacist, I can speak volumes about the side effect profile of Ambien, which we don't have to go into today. But this is very serious, and some people don't have an issue, and other people have a very strong problem with it.
Sounds like
or their spouses, or
guess what? It's not that is not optimal to me, right? I mean, not knowing what your reaction is going to be with binaural beats, however, what the outcome is going to be. It's music, frequencies in the brain. You know what the outcome is going to be. The only side effects is that you're listening to music. There are definitely side effects to every single thing you do, but this is the same as if you were listening to music.
Okay. And so the binaural beat is the wave that our brain makes when the two from each ear come together. So
binaural means two frequencies, right? So two frequencies, and you're using those two frequencies to create a third. You've heard the term, she's in the zone, or he's in the zone. Wow, he's really in the zone. Well, guess what? The zone, as it turns out, is an actual place. and we can get to the zone by either, sometimes visual cues will do that, but binaural beats will definitely put someone in that zone. So if you're looking for deep relaxation, or if you're looking for heavy concentration, you need to really concentrate on something, then binaural beats are definitely going to be able to help you, locate that frequency and put yourself there.
And then solfeggio are the specific frequencies with a specific result.
So solfeggio is, okay, let's say that you and I are going to go, we're going to go to lunch, but first I need to stop into a church. I'm going to stop into my church. And the church we go into is playing organ music, and it's a heavy dirge, okay? Mm-hmm. Without even looking at one another, you and I would both know to lower your voice and be reverent. You would get a feeling of reverence from that. Or if you and I are watching a movie, one of the Fast and Furious movies, right? And they're playing this really racy, exciting, our heart rate goes up. And not only the visuals, right? But the music is really what's directing our heart rate to go up and our palms to get a little sweaty. And that's solfeggio, that manipulation of someone's attitude or mood by a musical, by music.
Frequency or something.
Frequencies. Yes, right. Yeah. Now, I'll give you a better example of this. There's only 17 movies in the history of movie making. There's only 17 movies that are without soundtrack. Every other movie has a soundtrack. Even silent movies were not silent.
That's true. Okay. I've never thought
you
about
had
that.
Someone in the front, right, banging away on the piano, telling you this is what you're supposed to be thinking.
Right.
Or to bring it even sharper focus, Wall-E, the movie Wall-E. Are you familiar with that movie?
Vaguely, but yes.
Right? Little robot runs around. Okay. Well, guess what? Fascinating to me. They were able to get 4 and 5-year-old children to sit for an hour and 42 minutes of that movie without one word of dialogue.
Oh.
It was all fascinating. Music. Yes. That is amazing. That you don't even need words to tell the story you want to tell. You have the ability to tell that story through just the soundtrack, just the music. While he has failures, he falls in love, he has triumphs. All of these things you are telling through that music.
Well, and we did that, for centuries with ballet, I suppose, then too.
First communication that we ever had was us sitting and banging on a log to tell the tribe next door we are not to be messed with. Right? Or we had celebrations. Those first humans had celebrations, and everyone knew this was a happy occasion. And we expressed our emotions through that, banging on a log and splashing in water. So this is as far from woo-woo as you could possibly get. I mean, this is it, right? This is
And one of the things I love to do on this show is bring the science to the woo-woo. I am a scientist. I'm also an energy medicine practitioner. So I love, and that's one of the things that sort of opened my eyes to different forms of energy medicine and healing was my scientific background and going, hey, wait a minute, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And, all of the scientific laws of the universal laws of the universe. That's redundant, but you know what I mean?
This should be right up your alley then. This is exactly what I've done. I have taken and said, look, I have an aversion to I keep calling it woo-woo like I'm dismissing it. What I'm saying is I can separate the science from the fantasy land. Okay. The hit on binaural beats has always been that this is somehow not science, or it's not, real. It's imagined. Well, guess what? That's not true anymore. We now have frequencies that we can pretty much hand out like playing cards, and you know exactly what you're going to get.
So how is it, and I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but how do we come to be able to correlate specific frequencies with those moods, well-being, physical, ailments or the lack thereof?
Same way that we do any other thing, trial, and a lot of this was military experimentation. They
Okay.
used music to try and get an upper hand. That's really what we do everything for. Rocketry, whether it's medicine, whether it's anything. Cold weather gear. It was always tested on the privates in the Army or tested on other, the 1970s really opened the door to a lot of this experimentation, not only on LSD and, certain types of drugs, hallucinogenic drugs, but also binaural beats, solfeggio, this kind of thing. And generally, you can kind of see that if you look at the movies that were really popular, Scanners, Altered States, all of these type, we were kind of hinting along the way that this is what was going on.
Mm-hmm. I've also heard from, or I think our authority figures in the field, that also like remote viewing has been used by the military successfully. So again, something that is labeled maybe woo-woo, but actually has,
rooted in
some
science,
strong evidence of efficacy behind it.
The Men That Stare at Goats was a very good movie about that. George Clooney was amazing at that, and that's exactly what they were trying to do, is figure out how to make your brain a little more powerful than it was before. Then that's really what Melody Clouds is about. I'm trying to make it affordable for people to have that little bit of focus, or block their grief. I have frequencies 936 and 852 that physically block grief. I've known for a long time, at least for me, I can't be sad if I'm listening to someone play the banjo. Okay. So anytime I'm sad and I don't want to be, I will put on bluegrass or some type of banjo music, and I get this dumb smile on my face and I feel a whole lot better. Okay. That's personal to me. That's my personal observation as well, but it stands to reason. It works every single time. So how's that not science?
Yeah. Okay. So more questions. The first one that came to mind is, in terms of grief, does it actually block it, or does it help us process it?
Well, so processing grief is something totally different.
Okay.
Processing grief, look, and I say this because the minute you stop listening to it, you're going to be back where you were. The problem is still going to be there. And if you haven't dealt with it, you're still going to be in the process of that grief. However, the benefit to you is in that it gives you a respite. It gives you an ability to take a breath before maybe you do something that you'll regret, or the people that you were to leave behind would regret. A lot of PTSD treatment going on. We are currently working with veterans groups, Melody Clouds as a entity, as a company. We're working with veterans groups, providing binaural beats and trying to block those experiences, or try to help people just catch a breath so they can then start processing it.
Okay. So then my next question is, does there have to be a certain amount of time before you reap the benefit of listening?
Okay, so no. And here's the thing. It either works for you or it doesn't work for you. That's what I have discovered. Now we're talking about, me personally at this point. And I guess I can speak for the hundreds of people that have contacted me in the last year. Okay, I had someone contact me from Brazil 3 days ago. First, she emailed me. Then she sent me a voice message, sobbing on the phone that she had been unable to sleep without taking medication until she downloaded Melody Clouds, was able to go into the binaural beats section. There's 8,000 hours of binaural beats. So there's plenty for you to choose from. You go in, you find out what works for you. But she was explaining to me that she was unable to sleep on her own until she downloaded the app
Mm-hmm.
and found the tracks that worked for her. And I told you in my own experience, I mean this, I'm serious. When I turn on the track that I listen to, it's 15 seconds later. You better catch me and turn it off, because I'm out for the next 6-8 hours if nobody's gonna mess with me. And it's that sleep. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but that sleep where when you wake up, you actually feel like you're swimming to the top of a lake. You've been underwater, and that's how deep this was.
Mm-hmm.
I love that sensation.
I love that sleep. I don't get it very often.
Right?
I don't know why my body doesn't go very deep.
Yeah, you need to try this, because we know that really REM and deeper, that needs to be a regular part of your lifestyle in order for your brain to kind of recover from the day before.
Yeah.
I know, and we've only just met, but I know that you're going to relate to this. So you go to bed at night, you're exhausted. You've done a lot during that day. Actually, the more you've done during the day, the worse this becomes. But you lay there and you begin to race thoughts. You're a thought racer, right? Did I do this? Did I turn that off? I got to do this tomorrow, and that, and that, and that. Okay, let me offer to you 432 hertz. That will stop that mind racing and allow you to shut it down like you're supposed to and get yourself some sleep. The next day, you'll wake up way more refreshed, and you're able to carry on your day at probably 10 times the speed that you were able to the day before, because you've just exhausted yourself.
All right, people, did you hear that? 432 hertz.
432 hertz. I'm telling you, the best sleep you'll ever get.
All right, so I'm going to try it. My next question is, we're going to talk about meditation, because I feel like that's a natural adjunct to this music, to these beats. My question is the meditation that you maybe promote with this music have words, messages, mantras, or is it just sort of like mindfulness, meaning you're aware of your breath and you're listening to the music, and that's it?
Yeah. Okay. So first it was just putting out the binaural beats, and you've got an hour's worth of music or whatever, and you can either go to sleep to it, you can do whatever it is you need to do. And that was very irresponsible. And so to everyone, I apologize, because a lot of people who are trying to meditate and are trying to get the benefits of meditation, if you're inexperienced at that, guided meditations are really where you should start. Now, look, it's one man's opinion. However, I feel strongly enough about it that I actually feel bad that we are just now putting the guided meditations and helping people through that meditative process. You get no benefit unless there's purpose.
Right. Well, and especially when I asked the grief question, and you said, well, when you turn it off, you'll go back. And my first thought was, well, if we are aware of our thoughts and we're able to somehow change our thoughts, then we might not necessarily go back. Maybe we could move forward. Yep. And I know just from my own searching on YouTube, for example, that there's lots of solfeggio and binaural beats that pairs mantras or guided meditation with it. So that was sort of my question. And as a meditation teacher myself, I do often, pretty much 100% of the time, recommend guided meditations first as a place to start.
Right. I kind of noticed your face when I said that. You kind of knew where I was headed. I mean, look, when I started this, I'm a doer. I'm a cut twice, measure once type of person, and I know that. And so I'm going to kind of stumble my way a little bit into business. I know, but this is something fairly new to me. You mentioned 6 books. I've written 6 books, but I didn't write one single book where I was an expert and then wrote a book. I wrote the book to become an expert. So it's a little bit different. I wanted to know about something, in this example, credit, the American credit system specifically. And so in order to become an expert on that, I did the research and I wrote a book to kind of reassure myself that I knew what the heck I was talking about. You know what I mean?
I like that perspective because I've had several conversations with colleagues and friends and family over the years about myself writing a book, and I still haven't done it yet. I've started and I have chapters and thoughts and all the things, but actually no book yet. So I like that. So you don't have to be an expert before you write the book.
Oh, I would argue that it's better for you if you become the expert along the way.
Mm.
I mean, what good is it if for you to just barf all of your knowledge onto the pages? That doesn't benefit you personally. The way to do it, in my humble opinion, is okay, I'm going to benefit mankind, but I'm going to get benefit along the way. I'm going to write this about something that I'm not as familiar with, or I'm going to learn right along with everybody else and share what I now know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to go back to the meditation piece.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going about pairing the frequency with the sort of the intention or the message of the meditation? Is that something you're doing with much purpose? Or I would assume you are, but like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So the way that I have done it is I have an idea of what these meditations should, the results should be. I know where there are holes in Melody Clouds, and I want to fill those holes. In other words, if someone is anxious and they want to meditate and be less anxious, well, I need to have a guided meditation that will allow for that. Or weight loss. We're even doing some. People may even think of it as hypnosis, but it's not really. It's a guided meditation that helps people, not use food as that type of comfort. That they'll meditate rather than go and, like me, shove cheese doodles in my face all the time. So that's really how I want to, how I want this to proceed. In other words, we are constantly plugging holes.
And are they subliminal, or is it, just
no.
like straight out?
I pick people that have really buttery voices. I'll give you an example of this. So on Melody Clouds, I have always been in love with the fables of Aesop. Are you familiar? Fox and the Grape, the Dog and the Bone, the Donkey and the... Okay. I've always loved those stories. And it really bothered me that I couldn't find them anymore. And then I started to correlate where we are as a society right now with how people are rude to one another and how we are impatient and how we're impatient with one another. And I realized, oh my God, no, there's no wonder, because we've lost those very true fables, those very true stories. So, being the problem solver that I am, I got one of my very best friends, Gary Meyer. He's a Hall of Fame. He's in the Radio Hall of Fame right under Marconi. I mean, this guy's voice is like butter, okay? And so I gave him 138 Aesop's fables, and I said, get reading. And so he is reading these things. I'm putting some music and kind of dressing them up a little bit. But it really makes it interesting when it's coming to you from someone that's really, really talented at doing that. And this is my promise to everyone that's listening. Anything you see on Melody Clouds, there's two things you need to know about it. Number one, I own it. So the 18,000 audiobooks, I own that. The guided meditations, I own that. My name is on that. And it is the very best I could possibly get. Or the last thing you need to know, I'll replace it with something better.
Love it. I love it. So, where do we go from here? Do you want to talk about specific ailments or
Melody Clouds really is about relaxation. So let's talk about that for a second. Okay. I want to meet people where they are. Some people like being read to. Therefore, we have 18,000 audiobooks, all read by professionals. And they're all the classics, Uncle Tom's Cabin to the Odyssey to the complete works of Charles Dickens, Shakespeare. Okay, you name it, it's there. Okay. Some people like being out in nature, but they can't get out in the nature because they're stuck in a city somewhere. So I collected nature sounds. There's hundreds of tracks of nature sounds on Melody Clouds, whether you want to be at the beach, whether you want to be in a forest listening to owls and crickets. Hey, if you want to be at the beach listening to owls and crickets, we're coming up with a way for you to be able to do that too. Whatever gets you to kind of unwind and relax a little bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Aesop's fables. Look, I recognize that a lot of people are raising children by themselves, whether they're single mothers, whether they're single fathers, okay? You come home from work, you may not be just amped and ready to read stories to your children. But what you can do is sit with them and listen to someone read that story to them and talk to them for a few minutes about what the moral of that story is, or, you know, what they liked about that story. That's the Aesop's fables, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Messages that people really need to hear. Then the binaural beats. That is probably, we came here to talk about that, and I'm very, very proud of the binaural beats. 8,000 hours, all of that music is with a purpose. The frequencies are on there, but more importantly, what those frequencies, how they should be applied, and what they can do to help you. And very shortly, probably within the next 25 days, we'll have 8,000 episodes of old time radio that will be going up there as well, because I can't find anything on TV that I even begin to want to start watching. Okay. Sometimes I want to do something on my computer, or I want to do something, you know, be out in the yard and practice golf swing. So why not listen to an old time radio program or something that's all, you know, in the background, keeping me company, because frankly, I love those, and exercise my imagination a little bit.
Right. And, you know, we talked a little bit about sleep before, but also being able to, you know, disconnect from that screen time, being able to listen to something and lay down and rest, or go for a walk, or like you said, work on your golf swing, whatever that may be, and not have to be attached to that screen.
I'm doing a lot of experimentation right now. I'm a horrible golfer. I love to play, but I'm a horrible golfer. And so I've been doing a lot of experimentation on playing with binaural beats and focus frequencies in particular, while I'm practicing my golf swings. So I have two golf partners. I'm going to let you two knuckleheads know right now, if you listen to this, I'm coming and I'm using my binaural beats against you.
Well, and I have to say, I didn't realize the gravity and the power of it at the time, but when I was in pharmacy school, which I'm going to date myself, but it was back in between 06 and 09, I did use, and back then it was on CDs, and I think I was maybe able to get it like in an MP3 download finally but I would use it and listen while I studied. And then there was also a time where I was suffering from severe insomnia from just the stress of being in a program like that. And so I also used the similar, at the time it was called brain entrainment, but it was binaural beats and solfeggio. Why can I say that today?
It's a great Italian word.
It is. So anyway, it has been around for a long time, but I think, like you said, it was labeled woo-woo for so long, but now we know the science, we have the research to back it up. And I think I'm sure you can speak more to this, but uncovering so many more implications than we ever thought possible, I would imagine.
Well, the whole reason that, I mean, you can see behind me, you take charge of your mood. That's our, mantra. That's our, tagline. Take charge of your mood. If you're unhappy and you don't want to be, fix it. If you're, unfocused and scattered and you really need to concentrate, fix it. Fix that. You're very lucky, because I did not discover this. I'm 55 years old. I didn't discover this until I was 54. And so most of my life has been without having the benefit that I'm getting now. And things are way better for me now that I'm using binaural beats and being able to concentrate. If I had this when I was going to school, there's no telling what I would have been able to do. So if you've got a student that's having trouble focusing, this would certainly not hurt to give a try and say, look, while you're studying, listen to these tracks and let's see as an experiment whether your grades improve. Because really, all of the scientific data and the papers that have been written mean absolutely nothing if it doesn't apply to you. And I know that. Believe me, intimately, I know that.
Yeah, and I guess I am lucky. I never thought about it that way, but it came out of such a desperation. It first started with just the insomnia. That was, part one. And then I realized, oh, this actually does help me sleep. Okay. And so then I went back to that same company's website and I was just looking to see if they had anything that would help me, retain all the information that I was trying to shove into my brain.
Right. Well, most people
So,
do not think, Laura, they don't think that your brain was stimulated into that condition. Why would you not need to stimulate it out of that condition? In other words, you're walking around being stimulated every which way into a state of frazzle, into a state of frenzy, right? Now, why in the world would you not need to be massaged to get back to a state of calmness and a state of focus? Why would it work one way and it won't work the other way? Well, the fact of the matter is it does work the other way. We have the tool for you if that's what you would like.
yeah, it's so funny that I think, we've talked a little bit about the conditioning of today's society, and so much of what we expect when we want to reverse something or heal something or quote unquote fix something. I hate that word, but
Sure.
is we expect it to be instant.
Yeah.
And like you said, like it wasn't instant as it developed. So why would it be instant
Yeah,
for the
you trained
resolution?
your brain. And by the way, we do that whether it's weight loss. We do that with, everybody's looking for that magic pill that's going to help them drop the 20 pounds or, more, that they're going to be, that we use Prozac to make us happy or to even out our moods. We use Adderall to get to the focus. Look, all I'm saying to you is if that's not the answer, if you're either afraid of that being the answer, or you want to try something that is not going to have the bad effects, this is probably something that you need to take a look at.
Absolutely. And I would say, even if, you're one of the many millions of people out there that are, using some sort of medication, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no stigma around
No
that. But
question.
why not give yourself just an extra tool, an extra resource,
Right.
and see if it can help you? Because, you never know. And I think that also too is something we don't talk enough about, even in medicine, is, using all the complementary things. It doesn't have to be Western medicine or nothing. I think we really need to talk about more integration. Yes, Western medicine has a place. Yes, it is necessary. But what about all these other things that can help people along the way?
Well, we survived this long. I mean, you're talking about, the for as long as we've been here, we're now where we are. In other words, pharmaceutical industry we are where we are with that that type of medication. People have a tendency to forget how we got to that point. Now, to me, in my view, there are some things you need to be reaching for as a last result. The things that you reach for as a last result do not need to be the things that have zero side effects and, is not an issue if it doesn't really work. If you're taking a medication, it had better work. If you're taking a pill, if you're inserting a chemical that is, foreign to your body, it needs to do what it is it's supposed to do. This, on the other hand, you've got some breathing room. You can kind of play around with it a little bit and see what's going to have the desired effect for you.
Yeah, and I'll just say this one thing, especially being a pharmacist, that unfortunately, a medicine technically is not supposed to be lifelong, but
Right.
that is how it has become, again, through the evolution of our culture. So,
Well,
anyway,
there's no money in a cure. There's money in the treatment.
Yeah.
You know it, and I know it. I've been around long enough. I've heard it a million billion times. There's no we don't have cures anymore because there's no money in a cure. All the money, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
The money is in the treatment.
Well, the FDA won't even let you say the word cure anymore.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, that's because that's not the point to them either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, and by the way, we're having a good time with this, but we're doing this to one another and to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're not powerless. We don't have to throw our hands up in the air and go, "Oh, look what's being done to us." No. That's not really true. You and I, we have the power to make the changes that we really need to see made. And part of my contribution, to be frank with you, part of my contribution is the investment that I've made in Melody Clouds and the time and money that I'm spending bringing it to people and saying, hey, listen, may not be your answer, but this might be an answer for someone that you know.
Yeah, I think that's an important concept too, is the whole concept of self-responsibility. Like, we are responsible for our thoughts, we're responsible for our actions, and in between that are our feelings. We are actually responsible for our feelings. No one else is. It's just us.
Right.
We
Yeah.
like to say so-and-so made me feel that way.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
No,
Technically,
you can take
we
charge
did that
of your
to
mood.
ourselves.
Is that what you're saying? You should take charge of your mood? Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I wear it on my chest. You should be in charge. You're in charge of your actions, certainly, right? We've got a whole legal system that puts you in charge of what your actions are. So it stands to reason that you should be in charge, or you are in charge of those thoughts, those emotions, whether you're focused or unfocused, whether you're scattered, whether you're unable to sleep. Those things you are definitely in charge of.
Yeah, and I think too, another layer of this is, we are taught to judge ourselves so harshly, or that people are judging us harshly. Whether they are or not, we're taught to think that they are.
Sure.
And so, I think it's really valuable to approach this with a level of gentleness and self-forgiveness and love and grace for yourself, that we're all human, we're all struggling in some way, shape, or form. And so, again, this amazing tool that you've provided in this service, try it out, see if it works for you. Try a bunch of different frequencies, see what comes up, see what you get relief from, and just take the time to notice, okay, am I feeling anxious today? Okay, that's all right. If I am, now I know that there's maybe a tool that can help me, instead of beating up on yourself about it, or, yeah, I'm done with that. No more beating up on ourselves.
No. 100%, you are 100% correct, because we do have a tendency to, first, it starts with us. We're very harsh on how we look, what our jobs are, whatever. We're very, very hard. And then that has a tendency to spill over to one another. You are 100% correct on that. And it spills over into our families, our children, and really there's no reason for it. We're here. Every single one of us has our own journey. Mm-hmm. So you're going to make mistakes. There are things that you're going to do that you're going to regret and want to go do a do-over. In some of those things you can. Some of those things you can leave it right where it is and pick up and go do better. Okay. And 100%, I agree with you. 100%.
Yeah. Well, we've said it many times, but tell everyone your website where they can find you and all your amazing work.
So I want to put my money where my mouth is. Okay. And so if your listeners will go to melodyclouds.com, spelled just like it sounds, melodyclouds.com. I am doing a 60-day trial for $2.99 per month. So 60 days, $2.99. Then if they like it and want to stay using Melody Clouds, it's $5.99. Now, the reason I did that, and that may end, I have to be frank, that may end, because what I am finding is I'm not sure that people are taking me serious enough priced that way. It's sad. Mm-hmm. I have figured out that my competitors, if you want to call them that, the competitors, they charge $30 a month because people won't take them seriously unless they're spending that kind of money. Now, that to me is ridiculous, and I hope people take advantage of this offer, and things kind of change. Now, there's an iOS app and an Android app I do not charge for. So if you go and make a subscription online, you can use either one of the apps at your leisure, put it on your phone, and you can use it anywhere you want to go. And I don't charge for that. But yeah, I really do hope that people that listen to this will at least give this 60 days to see if they like it. And I have so much confidence that they will, that the largest button on my app is the red unsubscribe button. You will not have to find, I hate this. I hate it when I've subscribed to something and then I can't unsubscribe. That drives me up the wall. My app developer yelled at me for 3 solid days. You can't do this. Don't do this. I said, you put that button, red, big button. I want the biggest button to be unsubscribed. If you want to forget about me, forget about me. And one last thing, I want to thank you, because this really is benefiting a lot of people. You know, whether just having this discussion, having the courage to talk about this kind of stuff really does help people. I've got the letters in my inbox, I've got the emails, and the people that stop me, believe it or not, I'm hard to not recognize, but people will stop me and go, oh my God, you're the Melody Clouds guy. It's surprised the crap out of my wife not too long ago. And so, you know, it is making a difference, right? And we're picking up steam. So thank you.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for all this amazing work. Oh, and I do have one more question that I forgot before. On the app, are you able to like make your own playlist?
You are. You
Okay.
absolutely can make your own play. Oh, wow. Yeah, you absolutely are. There are some changes being made to the app as we speak. I've learned something about app development. The app you get, there's a newer one in the chamber. There's a newer one that's being worked on. So that's I did not realize that when I made this app, but that's what's kind of cool. But yes, we have it. You can make your own playlist. The books are sorted by author, by subject, by title. Very shortly, I'll share this with your listeners. Very shortly, we will also have the ability to overlay binaural beat to any music that's in your playlist. So if you have music that's in your playlist and you would like for that to also have the benefit of a binaural beat, we're working on the technology to make that a reality, make that happen.
Oh, that's cool.
One other thing that we're also working on will be in a future update. We're just not quite there yet. I want the ability to build my own environment. In other words, like I said, if I want to sit at the beach and listen to crickets and whales in the background, I want to be able to put those sounds together and listen to that. Or if I live in the country or if I'm visiting the country and I miss the city sounds, I would like to be able to build my own city and the sounds that I'm used to hearing, so it'll help me go to sleep a little bit faster. So those are some of the things that are just on the horizon that we're almost there. I mean, I'm very, very optimistic about, you know, how everything is going. And also we'll have a ton, I'm uploading right now, a ton more guided meditation. You and I are talking, they are right now loading, got more guided meditations on. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. That sounds really exciting. Yeah. Again, thank you so much. Is there anything else before we finish up that you just feel you need to bring forward?
Well, the only thing that I would say is that I did not build this. I didn't build an ugly app. Okay. I promise you, you download Melody Clouds. It'll be the prettiest thing in your pocket. I mean, it is absolutely stunning, some of the images that we used in this app, and I really can't wait for people to see it. But that's it.
All right, everybody, it's melodyclouds.com, and look up the app also by the same name, either Apple, Android, whichever you prefer. And again, thank you, Wayne Altman. It was so nice to meet you. So nice to have you here. And I wish you the best of luck on your journey. And as you evolve and your work evolves, keep me posted. I'd love to have you back.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.